What's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video, the top 10 B&M Floorless roller coasters. And now, B&M Floorless coasters are known for being kind of not one of the best B&M models out of all the coaster models they make, but I personally like them over the inverted coaster and some other models. But it is kind of one of their least popular models. But there are 10 B&M Floorless coasters in the United States, and there's one opening for 2017, which it used to be a stand-up coaster, and you probably know what it is. It's Patriot at California's Great America. Coming in at last place, Patriot, it only has 2 inversions, a vertical loop and a corkscrew, and it used to be a stand-up coaster called Vortex, and it's one of the oldest B&Ms out there. It was built in 1990, so it is a very old B&M coaster when you compare it to the average B&M coaster, and so that means it's not as smooth as probably some of these other Floorless coasters, but it's still a pretty solid ride when you compare it to a traditional stand-up coaster with 2 inversions. I think this was a must-do for California's Great America because it would have been 4 years since Gold Striker. So now they're getting a Floorless coaster. Number 9 is Dominator at King's Dominion, and this coaster is known for being kind of rough for a B&M Floorless coaster. Well, for a B&M, when you compare this coaster to Aero Loopers, this coaster isn't that bad when it comes to smoothness, because this coaster's vertical loop is very smooth, but up until the mid-course brake run of this ride, the ride is glossy smooth and very fun. But then the corkscrews on this coaster have quite a bit of head banging. Plus Cobra rolls Cobra rolls tend to have head banging. So this coaster is kind of your basic Floorless coaster, in my opinion. It's not really too much. It has your standard Floorless coaster elements, no dive loop or zero G roll, any of those extra elements. It just has your traditional elements. Number 8 is Batman the Dark Knight, and this is a traditional B&M Floorless coaster. It is better than Dominator due to being themed to Batman, and I know it does have a rattle, but it's still a pretty fun coaster. My only complaint about it is that it's a little short and it could have a rattle to it. But still, this is a pretty good Floorless coaster, and definitely one of the best coasters at Six Flags New England. Number 7 is Rougarou at Cedar Point. Now, this coaster used to be a stand-up coaster as well as Patriot. It used to be called Mantis and was the tallest and fastest stand-up coaster when it was built. But now it's a Floorless coaster, and the inversions on it are solid. I really love the vertical loop on Rougarou. The dive loop is good. The incline loop is good. The corkscrew is okay. This is just a fun coaster. It may be a little rattly and rough, but this coaster still, for a B&M Floorless coaster, it's actually one of the more unique Floorless coasters when it comes to the inversions. But I wish this coaster, the only reason why I put this coaster down a little bit is because it is a little rougher than some of these other Floorless coasters. But still, this is a very fun coaster. Number 6 is Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And this is your average Floorless coaster. The ones I said earlier are below average. And the next coaster I'm putting on this list is also one of the average Floorless coasters. But this coaster actually is unique because it has 7 inversions, and the bad news about it is that it is a parking lot coaster, which does stink for the location of this ride. But still, this coaster recently got a repaint, so it looks much nicer than what it was earlier, before 2014. So that's good, but overall, Scream, it's not the smoothest B&M Floorless coaster, but it's still not the worst B&M Floorless. Number 5 is Bizarro. And I know this coaster, the only reasons why I consider it better than Scream, even though they're identical cloned coasters, is because Bizarro actually There are some near-miss elements during the ride, and it's known for being quite smoother and actually having a better theme than Scream. You go through all the elements, the vertical loop, the corkscrews, cobra roll, all of your standard B&M Floorless elements along with a few extra elements. At number 4 we have Medusa, but you could consider this a much better Floorless coaster than what you would currently think. You would say this is a top 3 Floorless coaster, but that's not my opinion. I think this coaster, compared to the better Floorless coasters, is kind of an overrated ride because it looks a little more drawn out compared to some Floorless coasters, but still, this is a very fun Floorless coaster and definitely one of the best coasters at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. I just don't like it as much as these next 3. And number 3 is Hydra The Revenge at Dorney Park. This is one of the most underrated coasters of all time and in the world, or in the United States, because this coaster, when you open up with the ride, you go through this JoJo roll, which is a very unique Floorless coaster element. Unfortunately, I wish there was a vertical loop on this ride, which definitely completes a Floorless coaster, but that's probably my only complaint about this ride. But that JoJo roll looks like it gives some great hang time, and this coaster is known for being very smooth. Definitely one of the best Floorless coasters and the best coaster at Dorney Park. Number 2 is Superman Krypton coaster, and hold on. Now this coaster is a little lower because you would expect this to be number 1, but to me this coaster, I wish it had an extra inversion. The drop wasn't a curved drop, but the good news is this coaster, I'm not going to stop complaining about this coaster, but I'm going to start thinking about the positives. The vertical loop is so large on this ride, it looks super fun, plus Superman is standing on top of it. Plus this coaster has some good G-forces, fairly intense ride. The corkscrews look like a lot of fun, the cobra roll is pretty good. And overall this is just a solid Floorless coaster. It may have your standard Floorless elements, but it's in one of the best locations compared to Dominator at King's Dominion, or Patriot, or Rougarou, or Scream. So that's why it's at number 2. It's in a unique location, so that's probably why it's up here at number 2. But number 1, in my opinion, is Kraken, and this coaster has my favorite inversions out of any Floorless coaster out there, because I really like vertical loops. If you've watched my channel before, I know the vertical loop is my favorite ever inversion due to its intense G-forces. There is a smaller vertical loop after the mid-course brake run and a vertical loop after the first drop. Plus, this coaster also features 1 corkscrew, a cobra roll, and some other elements like a dive loop and a 0G roll. Kraken, very good coaster, has some cool theming during the ride, some cool near-miss elements, and that's why Kraken is the number 1 B&M Floorless coaster in my opinion. But do you guys agree with this? I know this is just my opinion, but I know a lot of people who watch this could consider Superman the number 1 Floorless coaster in the United States, but this was just my opinion. Please post your opinions in the comments below, and stay tuned for my mean streak closure analysis tomorrow about it getting the RMC treatment, and stay tuned for more.